welcome to another edition of the Jersey Fanatics. I'm Chris the Dace Man Dace, joined by Eric Barezzo.
What up?
And we are back after a period of mourning to do our 2024 post-mortem of the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, if you viewed us last time, we were riding high because we had just won the NL East. We were heading into the playoffs. We had a bye week. Everything looked great. Then,
womp, womp.
Then the NLDS happened, and honestly, we needed a couple weeks to process. If you've listened to any of the show, you know that we were not very confident throughout most of the year, even though they were the best team in the league for most of it. I think our concerns were valid, and obviously they cooled off in September. So, Eric, how do you feel?
Well, like you just said, I think everyone knew what was coming. You kind of felt it, but you thought maybe they could go into a different drive when the postseason started. You know, that's exactly what Bryce Harper and Schwarber and Turner, all of them said. They thought when the postseason was going to hit, they could just flip a switch and everything would be fine. But they've been a 500 team since the All-Star break. Bryce Harper has been hurt for the last quarter of the season with something wrong with his elbow, the elbow that ended up getting surgery on. Still haven't heard about that. So don't know if it's anything serious or what, if it just needs rest or anything. But yeah, and you come out in that first game and you score a run immediately with Schwarber's home run, and you're like, okay, this is going to be awesome. And you have Wheeler starting, and he went 7 innings. Like, he had a really damn good game, but what you had concerns about with that bullpen, the bullpen showed up, and they blew it.
That's the crazy thing, because if you look at that first game should have been a win. You had the leadoff run, you know, the thing that everybody clamors for with Schwarber. You had 7 shutout innings from Wheeler. You had the 8th inning of Strahm, and then your 9th inning of either Hoffman or Estevez as closing. So on paper, that was the perfect game.
Everything you wanted to happen happened, and Hoffman couldn't throw a strike to save his life, and the strikes that he did throw weren't great. So, and same thing with Strahm, and same thing with freaking Tanner Banks, and you know, they ended up giving 5 runs or 7 runs total, and that's how you, or what was it, 6 total runs. Sorry, and that's how you ended up losing the game. And it's just
from the dominant pitchers that both basically went under 1 earned run for most of the season.
Yeah, and you saw all the beat reporters come out. And they're like, oh, this is the first run that Hoffman has given up in months. And the same thing with Kerkering. This is the first time he's done this in months. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man, perfect time to just completely fade into oblivion. And then in the 9th inning, you kind of got a little hope. You scored the run, and you had your top of the lineup come up. So you're like, all right, something's going to happen. And then it basically went close to 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It was like the whole series, the top of the lineup blew.
And then the second game, their only win, even though it was a win, it went off in a walk-off fashion by Nick Castellanos, but it was a stressful game as well. Like, not to take anything away from the Mets. We absolutely fucking hate the Mets on this show. We hate the Braves. We've kind of said that we didn't want to face the Mets because they were given those 2022 Philly vibes going into the playoffs. But we played like they were 110 winning. The Mets played like they should have played in 2022 and didn't. And we showed up like the Braves showed up the past 2 years. Is it the bye week? I don't want to make the excuse of the bye week. I don't think our problem was the bye week. Our team shut down in September. That's my personal opinion.
I don't think it was the bye week either. I just think that whoever was like, I want to blame the coaches so bad.
Well, you know my feeling on the hitting coach.
that's exactly where I'm heading. Like I wanted to blame Kevin Long for being a dipshit and not really helping, and nobody grew this year at all, and Topper for putting people in the wrong positions because, like we've said numerous times over Jersey bullies and now Jersey fanatics, Kyle Schwarber should not be the leadoff. Like he may get the walks and the home runs and the excitement to go, but he has to be your fourth hole or your four hole or three hole, whatever one you want to do. If you want to have him and Bryce Harper switch, that's where that has to be. Turner has to be your leadoff or Stott. Um, Stott wasn't great either, but like that, you need to go back to the old school baseball of having your fastest guys lead off the game.
Oh, I think that's a big problem with this team is they don't small ball. It really feels like everybody's swinging for the fences, and if they're not swinging for the fences, they're not getting on base whatsoever, and that to me kills them. Nick Castellanos had a quote he said somewhere in the season. I forget after what game, but basically him playing lower in the lineup doesn't make him a threat because there's no one behind him, so they can just throw him junk. He's going to swing you regardless. And unfortunately, I think that's our 1 through 5. Like they're going to swing at shit irregardless, and there's no threat behind them. So throw them shit, and that's been what was the key thing that was said by all the analysts that we absolutely can't stand doing the national coverage, is that the Phillies will swing at anything. Hell, I think Jim Salisbury said it on his podcast. If you just throw them high heat, they're gonna swing. Doesn't matter what, and that's exactly what the Mets did. And the Dodgers were smart enough to avoid that and fucking blew them out of the water.
Oh yeah, it was a completely different series from what like everyone was like, oh, Severino's back because of how amazing he looked against us. Mm-hmm. And then he goes against the Dodgers and gets lit up. Same thing with Manea, and same thing with the fucking ghost fork or whatever bullshit pitch Senga throws. Like he never throws it for a strike, but he had the best K rate against us because we have 6 people on our team that are swinging straight for the fences every single time. And if it's 3 feet outside, they're swinging at it. And the number one person that does that is this guy right here.
Well, so the more telling thing is Harper did the same thing. There were key moments for Harper to earn that showman title or the showstopper or whatever the hell he calls himself.
Yep.
And he batted into a double play the one game, and then the other one he just like line drive or something. Like he basically came up short in the 2 critical moments where he needed to be the man.
Oh, absolutely. And like him, and I know you don't really depend on Bohm being that that same kind of player that Harper is, but he came up in almost every major spot, and even JT Realmuto. JT Realmuto was fucking atrocious. He went the whole entire series and didn't get a hit. Mm-hmm. Or I think maybe he got 1, and he was the only one out of like 4 people. Like it was absolutely brutal, but like it was almost like every single great chance they had at scoring runs. Like I think they left like 35 runners on base in the one game, and that was in like the first I don't even know, 6 innings or something like that. Like it was outrageous. The numbers that they were putting up.
They loaded the bases back-to-back innings and did nothing.
Yeah, and it seemed like that's how it started every single game, and we just kept letting them off the hook. And you felt, especially that Nola game, that 3rd game, you felt I think that's the game that all of a sudden they had everyone on base at the same time, and you're like, oh shit, here comes Nola. Everyone knows him. You're either going to get a full-on complete game shutout, or you're going to give up 6 home runs. There's really no in between with him. And unfortunately, we had during that game so many chances to score runs, and they didn't do it. And it was not one single person that really stepped up for the whole series. Well, there wasn't 2 people that stepped up because Castellanos was amazing the whole entire series. He was the only one that was really there. But
I want to go on record. Twitter blew up about getting rid of him. and get in on
Yeah,
his ass. And it's like, what the, okay, so all of you people who have not watched the entire season or listened to us, not that we're the beacons of Phillies knowledge, he has carried this team post All-Star break.
yeah, yeah,
He's been the
100%.
consistent player. He's hitting. Bohm obviously got his heart broken or something, and then it completely fell apart mentally, and it showed in his bat. And the crazy thing is, after this NLDS, had they put up a better fight, our conversation right now would have been like, look, they did a hell of a job. They kept going, and we'd be talking about that last foul ball that wasn't a foul ball. And we'd be fucking hanging our hats on that this is the reason we lost. But no, we're very cognizant of the fact that the bats did not show up.
Yeah,
I was
and
actively trying to find the stats as you were talking, but I know, like you said, JT came up hitless the entire series. Schwarber had 2 the entire series.
yeah,
Uh,
Harper was 333, and Castellanos was 412.
yeah,
So
and like
you're the only 2 people that really had a good average. The rest of them were trash.
yeah, I think everybody else was like below 200, and Trey may have been like little over 200,
Yeah, he
not
was
too
like
high.
222 or something like that.
So you're looking at that lineup. First of all, you didn't do anything to change anything. The changes he made when they weren't like getting back into it were okay. Rojas sits today. No, dude, Schwarber is 2 for 16. He had 1 leadoff home run in the first inning of the first game. Why?
Yeah, yeah, and that first game, you left 14 people on base.
Mm-hmm.
So the second game, you left um, you left 10 on base. The third game, you left 14 again, and then that final game, you left 14 as well. So, or I'm sorry, you left 20 on base that final game. But your final averages, Kyle Schwarber was 125, Turner was 200, Harper 333, Castellanos 412, Bohm 77, JT 0, Stott 182, Weston Wilson 0, Cody Clemens 400, Brandon Marsh 77. So like,
Okay, so 2 glaring issues there. Why the hell was JT still in the 5 hole the entire or the 6 hole the entire series? Why wasn't Cody Clemens playing more often?
yeah, and especially because he ended the season so freaking high.
Mm-hmm.
Like like everyone was saying, is he going to be on the postseason roster? Is he going to be left off? What is Topper going to do? What is this going to do? In our eyes, he should have been on there, and he should have been starting somehow.
Yeah.
You should have figured it out.
And you can't really sit there and fall back on the defense excuse when most of the Mets runs came off of home runs.
Yeah,
So what was the defense going to do anyway? To just you want to pick out who's going to be in the outfield to watch the ball go over their head? And Cody made that season-ending catch that made me confident enough that if you were to put somebody in left field, he's hitting well enough, put him. Put Marsh in center, and you platoon Marsh and Rojas in center.
yeah.
Cody's
There,
hitting 400.
there was no reason why you should have had Weston Wilson in that game at all, or Austin Hayes. I know, like, especially because he just came back from the injury, the kidney infection, all sorts of weird shit that he dealt with ever since that trade deadline, which is probably the worst trade deadline that we've ever done, because nobody really helped us at all. Estevez, every time he came in, was like banging your head against the wall.
The shape with the I think Estevez was a good pickup, and I'm only going to say this if you exclude the last fucking game, because that's, he's going to be forever remembered for that last pitch to Lindor
Yeah,
in that final game. And it's a shame because I do think Estevez is a quality bullpen arm, and that was a good trade. When you look at the bullpen arms that were out there and the price we paid for him, he probably was the best acquisition. The other position players make no fucking sense, except for unloading the people we didn't want.
but there was no reason, in my eyes, that Estevez should have been in there to face Lindor. I know he's a closer, but the score was 2-2.
Honestly, I would have sent out Sanchez. I know he was on short rest, but if you only needed him for like an inning, screw it. Like we want to see tomorrow. We need to go back to the bank. Sanchez is in there for an inning, and I get not putting Wheeler in because you wanted Wheeler at 100% if you got to the game 5, but Sanchez would have been in there. I wouldn't have cared.
Sanchez or Suarez, one of the two.
Yeah, at least with Sanchez, probably not Suarez because he had even shorter rest and he has not been Suarez. But
Yeah,
Sanchez at least can get, like, he makes guys like, that's something I think our starting pitching's missing, and we'll get into this when we talk about 25. But Sanchez is the only guy that gets people to ground out.
yeah.
Everybody else is, even Wheeler, who's our hands down our ace. He doesn't get people to ground out. He gets the pop outs, and those are dangerous because they also give up home runs. So,
You like before that game though, before Game 5
mm-hmm.
or Game 4, whatever it was, Game 4. Thompson said before the game, everyone's available. It's all cylinders go. Everything is in motion. There's nothing that's gonna stop me from pulling out all the stops. But he didn't pull out any stops. Like,
That's the big problem because like, you're watching that game as a fan, and you know he's watching the same fucking game because he's in the stadium. Your bats haven't done anything for 7 innings. You now know you have to rely on your pitching to carry you through this game to get you back to Citizens Bank Park, where maybe your batting will pick back up again. So at that point, your bullpen is not doing great. You know you have a reliable arm in Sanchez, and I know we'll talk about their post-mortem press conference where they didn't want to jeopardize these arms, but come on. If you don't want to jeopardize these arms, you let these arms stay on there for full, complete games during the regular season.
it's
You're
do or
sending
die,
mixed
man.
messages.
It's do or die.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't care about Sanchez's complete game in July. I care about getting to the next round of the playoffs. And you chose to send Estevez out there, who has been struggling and has pitched 3 or 4. He pitched 3 out of the 4 games.
yeah,
You put him back in there. I guess screw his arm because he's a free agent. So if we blow his tires out, who cares? But at the same time, like, don't you want you? It was World Series or bust at spring training, and you came up, and this is where we get into the conversation. This is probably, aside from the bats being shit because you paid for bats, but they're not batting. The coaching, like, Rob, come on, man, and I'll let
yeah.
you put some final notes on the NLDS, but then we're gonna get right into the whole coaching and post-mortem press conference.
I couldn't believe it because, like I said, before the game, he said he's going to pull out all the stops and everything's on the table. And there's nothing that's going to stop him. And like, you've seen every time that you've put in Estevez, not in a save situation, he has given up numerous home runs every single time. It's not just one game that he did it for. It was every game that he has come in on our team. I can't tell you what he did for the Angels. I'm not staying up to watch fucking Angels baseball at 10 o'clock at night. But
Mike Troutless Angels baseball.
yeah,
So, like, there's really no reason.
but like there was no reason for him to go in. And I understand that you have zero faith in Hoffman at that point. You have zero faith in Strom at that point because of what he's done in that series. You have zero faith in Kerkering. So you don't really have much to go on. But Banks only pitched that first game. I know he gave up one run.
Did Alvarado
But
even come in
who?
before that point? Jose Alvarado, before that, like, ending, because I think he did pitch in that final game, but I don't think he was in the first 3.
Not really. And I know that you weren't really feeling him much, but
And why is he on
like,
the damn roster? Like, that to me, that's
yeah,
a problem right there. If you weren't feeling him enough to put him into critical situations, why did he make it? And I know that the obvious answer, people are yelling at us through the speakers, is who else are you going to put on the roster when it comes to pitching? But if you chose this lineup at the All-Star game or All-Star break, you made the decision that we are where we need to be. If you have the arm, I would have rather been mad at Alvarado than Estevez.
yeah, like at least you knew with Alvarado you're either going to get a walk or you're going to get a strikeout.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have dealt with him walking Lindor in that spot, and obviously instead of a grand slam. Yep. So hindsight's 2020. Like, I get it, but when you have a manager that has failed at every turn since the World Series, like, you fucked up every single uh,
The
uh,
decisions you get to make. Like,
decisions you get to make. Like a lot of them, you're hamstrung, and I get it. Like it's probably Dombrowski or in the analytics department that's keeping Schwarber there, and uh,
well,
you're kind of just stuck there. But like if you have a chance to put in a relief pitcher, that's your only job, and so you should know who to go to and when to go to. And
mhm.
you've failed when to pull out your starters, when to put starters in, like all sorts of stuff.
And to be fair, let's this podcast won't be completely negative because now that we're far enough away from the NLDS, we're all in on the 2025 season, but and the Juan Soto sweepstakes, but fuck the World Series because no one's watching that bullshit. Anyway, to be fair to Rob, and we're doing this knowing what happened after the NLDS, which kind of makes you scratch your head and go, huh. Nah, this is where we might not feel confident about 2025, and we'll get to there in a minute. But I honestly, if I was a coach in the Major League Baseball, I would not want to coach the Phillies, and here's why. One, the roster. I'm not calling them prima donnas, but like clearly there are some players on the team that get a better say than a manager. If you don't believe me, ask Joe Girardi.
Yeah,
And then you have other people who just seem to hang around on the staff that you kind of go, okay, I have a good, well documented hatred for Kevin Long. I think he's useless. And part of the reason I think he's useless is there's probably 4 or 5 players on this team that can actually learn from him. And I would say all but one had their worst season, as in Bohm. And watching Bohm, how he carries himself, I highly fucking doubt he listened to Kevin Long to begin with. The other 5 or 6 superstars you're paying for probably aren't going to Kevin Long for tips.
no, not in a
So
little bit.
I do give a lot of hatred to Kevin Long, but at the same time, those 6 or 7 superstars aren't talking to him to begin with. And it's probably the fact that, like, what do you do here? You
Like
get all the credit when it's successful, but, like, you don't take any of the heat when it's not.
like Harper even said that he wasn't gonna the one season he wasn't gonna go out there and use the curveball machine. He didn't think it was worth his time.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been a suggestion from the manager at the time, and also from Kevin Long, because Kevin Long has been here that long.
Yeah.
So
Again, I would not want to manage the Phillies because I do think there are 3 or 4 people on this team that if they say, hey, I'm going to bat leadoff, I'm batting leadoff. Hey, I'm not leaving that 3-hole, not leaving the 3-hole. I'm not
yeah,
going to do this when I'm batting. He's not going to do this when he's batting. And I mean, that's Schwarber clearly wants to be leadoff. Harper clearly wants to be third. And Nick is going to swing out whatever the fuck he wants to swing at. And
yeah,
those are 3 characteristics that are uncoachable.
yeah,
And those are the 3 that we verbally hear. You don't know what Trey's saying. You don't know what JT's saying. And that's a lot to deal with. But at the same time, you've got a Canadian running the helm. And they're very nice and laid back people. Rob needed to walk in there after game 1 and go, what the fuck?
yeah. And I feel
You
like
have your best pitcher, the leadoff home run. Everybody complains that if we don't get, like, it sets the tone. That's why he's leadoff. He sets the tone. You needed aggression there, and I don't think Rob has aggression.
he set the tone, but then he like struck out majority of the rest of the pitches,
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the time. I think it was like 1 for 37 or something like that after that.
Yeah.
But
So
like it's just like you said, nobody is really like I have no idea what Kevin Long is doing. I don't know what he's doing. Like you said, there's no one really listening to him. Nobody got really better.
again, the daycare would have been the only one to benefit from him. The daycare and the bench pieces, because in theory, they're the younger guys that need some guidance. And then you watch a guy like Bohm and how he carries himself, and I don't fully believe that Bohm's taking advice from anyone. But like, I mean, Harper tried to console him the one time he was pouting, and the pouting didn't stop.
Yeah.
So clearly, he's going through some off the field shit that affected his on the field shit.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that bothers me now is like, why are they called the daycare when they're older? Like,
It's been 3 years now, so it's kind of. I just want to throw this out there. The last time they took away something that brought joy to Philadelphia, Dancing on My Own, we haven't done as great as we have with that song. So go ahead, vibe officers out there who want to shit on Castellanos and Dancing on My Own. I've been right so far every single fucking time. Who's the postseason MVP? Nick Castellanos.
Yeah,
Who
for
was the
sure.
reliable one? Nick Castellanos. Who was it? Kyle Schwarber. He's not here to be defended, but maybe Dancing on My Own should have been played instead of like a 2-second clip and whatever bullshit remix that played on and on.
Yeah.
Those brothers better not get anywhere near the goddamn playlist next year. I want to hear their heads on fucking pikes like Caleb Scott. And people are mean to Caleb Scott, and I'm really pissed off about that because that man carried us through 2022. And you all owe him an apology, Philly.
And he kept on begging to come out here and play, and we're like, nah, dude, we're not going to do it. Like, that would have been awesome for him to come out and play and like like lead the national anthem or something in the World Series of 2022. That would have been amazing.
Throw a first pitch in 2023.
Yeah.
Something. Give the man a hat tip. That man carried us through 2022. Two things I think fucked us in the postseason that are completely un-baseball related. Him being ignored for the entire season of 2024 is some kind of fucking curse, because clearly it's not him. And Chase Utley not throwing a goddamn first pitch at the Mets.
Yeah.
Not to the Mets. At the Mets. This is the first time in history you have the Phillies versus the Mets, and Chase Utley's not out there to throw a ball into the bullpen and go, oh, I guess I'm a little rusty. I wanted him to kill Pete Alonso with the first fucking pitch in the first fucking game because he's Chase fucking Utley and you are the fucking man.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yep. That would have been absolutely amazing just to see him come out there. And I don't know, maybe they asked him to, and he's like, I ain't flying back in from London again for you. Like
I saw how you guys played in September. I ain't coming out there for that. They ain't blaming me.
Yeah.
But if he had thrown the ball at Pete Alonso's fucking head or Francisco Lindor's fucking head or broke one of their legs like he does because he's a Met killer, this episode is going to have a hard R.
Or smash that damn playoff pumpkin or whatever that stupid fucking Alonso thing
Throw the pumpkin at him. Like, come on, be the Green Goblin. We'll give you a glider. It'll be fantastic. Anyway, the 2024 season's over. We're not happy with the way it ended. It was a fun ride. I'm not going to lie. It was nice to win the NL East. It was nice to, like, be on top. Even though every time we talked every week, we didn't feel like we were on top when we were on top. And rightfully so. Like, we were right again.
I got into an argument. Well, not really an argument. But a customer came up to me and said, how about that Phillies season? Wasn't it amazing? And I said, did you watch the playoffs, or are you just going off of the regular season? They're like, wasn't it amazing, though, every summer night you got to see basically a victory? And I said, what does that amount to?
Yeah, hey, were you born in 2011?
Yeah, I was like, that means absolutely nothing. Like, congratulations, we won the NL East. That's fantastic. But it contributed to nothing. Nothing came from it.
Hey, they got a banner.
Yeah. No, they got a flag.
They got a flag. There's a new flag out on those bare ass poles out there. They don't have many flags. Now they have a flag.
I was there for that flag night.
And mark your calendar in 2044 when they do the 20th anniversary of the NL East champions, and they roll Schwarber out to lead off against.
They're gonna roll freaking JT
Athletics
out there. They're gonna roll JT out there in a wheelchair because he has no fucking knees left.
Yeah. So anyway, let's roll into. Let's move on from one last thing about 2024, and that's the postseason or the the season's post-mortem, that press conference that Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson had. Interesting note, before the press conference happened, they extended Rob Thompson to 2026. Then the press conference happened, so you can continue laughing because there's even more fun coming, where they basically went, hey, we're going to run it back. Yeah. We had 3 bad games. That was it.
Everyone's coming back. No changes at all.
Except, like, we're not going to take both Hoffman and Estevez. We'll just take one of them. The interesting note outside of that press conference of just bullshit, because it was just them being nice, and if it's them not tipping their hats that they're about to put dynamite in the clubhouse and blow it up, the telling piece that I want to talk about with you is when Dombrowski was asked about adding people. One, he said, we got enough stars. Again, I really hope that's him, like, not trying to reveal his hand. And two, he said that the outfield is going to be built around Marsh and Castellanos. Um, I think that's interesting.
No.
Well, here's I didn't say it was a good interesting. I just think it's interesting that he said that because one, again, the internet has called for Casty's head all year because he had a rough, slow start. Even though Schwarber had 5 bad months every fucking year out of the last 2 years, and a
Yeah,
shit
Hoagie Fest,
postseason.
man. Hoagie Fest or Schwarber Fest.
Yeah, so Schwarber has one good year out of his 4 years. Um, I thought it was interesting because Casty to me is a trade piece. I do think that like you're not going to be able to unload Schwarber as a DH. I think there's better, cheaper options at a DH space based on like Schwarber not being great defensively. Casty's consistent and clearly the hero of the postseason. And to put your hat on Marsh, I like Marsh. I don't hate him. I think he's unfortunately a bench piece based on his performance this year rather than
Absolutely.
starter. But if you look at his stats of Angels versus what he's done in the Phillies, he's improving. So there is something to build there. The interesting thing is they said the same thing about Rojas they said last year, and I think he was better this year than he was the year before. Where, hey, we love his defense, but his offense has to get better. It's like, dude, his offense was on par with your stars.
And they sent Rojas down to spring training early so he can work on his offense. Like, dude, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna turn into Harper. He's not gonna turn into Casty. He's not gonna turn into Schwarber. He's not gonna turn into any of that. Like he basically is what he is. Um, and he's an amazing defensive player. Like it's awesome, but he's another bench piece. You have to go out. You have to upgrade that outfield. Who is it?
So there's a lot of good choices this year. That's the good thing. Like I know the pie in the sky dream is to bring Juan Soto to Philadelphia. I don't think that's happening unless he gives us an Otani reach around deal. But you have Santander out there. You have Bellinger entering the free agency. Teoscar Hernandez is out there. There's a couple other like the outfield options are a plentiful outside of the Juan Soto sweepstakes.
Yeah, you and I don't know what you're rooting for. Like I don't know if Juan Soto is going to be, you know what, I'm going to leave because we won the World Series or I'm going to leave because we didn't win the World Series. I don't know where his head's at.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's the only reason why we're keeping K Long around just because he has such a great relationship and they go to Kentucky Derby with Bryce Harper and Juan Soto and K Long together. Like they're hanging out and they're doing this and that. And Trey Turner too was included one year. Like awesome. But if you don't get them, I think you immediately get rid of K Long after that. Like if Juan Soto signs back up, or if he goes to the Mets, or wherever he goes, if he goes back to the Nationals, like if it's not here, deuces, dude. Get the fuck off this team. I don't want you anymore. I don't even know what you do. You probably do as much as Taiwan Walker around here, which is holding up that railing.
Oh, spoilers! There's a nice little rant coming about that motherfucker in a few minutes.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what you do, and I don't want to see you again. But I was completely shocked that Topper got extended. I was majorly rooting for a firing because that's what I do. I love coaches and managers getting fired. That's kind of like my bread and butter. I love it. And yeah, like we said before, like if you lose the World Series, you lose the NLCS, now you lose the NLDS, you're on a downward path. No one has gotten better on your team. No one has really improved. And you extend them for another year. Why? And like, I just it didn't make sense to me at all.
So I'll pose this question to you because there's been a lot of like, why are we extending Topper? Why aren't we moving on from JT? Things like that, which has stemmed from this postseason debate. The question I'd ask you is, if not Topper, then who? Because to your point, yeah, it's been this steady decline that we've guessed at the beginning of the year, saying, "Hey, we hope it doesn't happen like it did from '09 to 2011." Unfortunately, it did without that World Series win. Dombrowski made an interesting note that his Boston Red Sox team he put together that won a World Series did the same thing before they won the World Series. So I'm hoping maybe it's a better comparison to that. But all these stars were on the team, and Joe Girardi couldn't get them going.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with these stars for at least another year. What do you do? Who would you bring in if Topper was let go? I think it's more of his supporting staff that's the issue, but who would you bring in as Topper's replacement? Well,
I have no idea. Like the only one that really crosses my mind that seems to know how to win would be an older guy like Dusty Baker. And I don't know if Bryce Harper and Schwarber would listen to that kind of manager. Like I don't know if that would go well at all. Like he's the kind of no bullshit kind of guy. Like if you're not running it out like Bryce
mm-hmm.
did to first base plenty of times towards the end of the season, like Dusty would bench him immediately.
well,
Like it wouldn't be what Topper did, which was left him in the game and then he talked about at the end of the game.
well, I can kind of see how Dombrowski's in between a rock and a hard place because you're stuck with these contracts for at least another year. Um, Assuming you don't extend Schwarber and JT into past 2024, and we'll get to that or 2025, and we'll get to that conversation in a second. But if you shake that aspect of it up, an aspect that clearly lit a fire under this team, and regular season stat wise, they have gotten better. Um, and clearly there is like a loyalty slash ride or die type mentality with these guys and Rob. Are you? They keep giving him short incremental extensions, and I think that's Dombrowski's way of saying like, hey, I know it's not 100% your fault, and I fear that the grass isn't greener on the other side, and that's why you're still here.
Yeah. And it's kind of I think it's his way of also taking the blame off of him
Mm-hmm.
because I honestly put more blame on him because you haven't really done much at the trade deadline the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you so
you know,
focused on Nashville that you don't give a fuck about what's happening here?
yeah, like you're fantastic. Don't get me wrong at signing in the offseason. Like you got Trey Turner, you got Castellanos, you got Schwarber. Like it's fantastic. You're great in the offseason. But I feel like anybody could have done that if you really just said, here's a bag of money, come play with us. Like I don't think it's that hard. But the hard part is trading for people in season. And in 2022, you had the opportunity to go out and get Tommy Pham, and you chose not to. Or 2023, you chose not, or actually both 2022 and 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Like you chose not to, and then you had the opportunity to get Neris, you chose not to. You had the opportunity to do all this stuff to go get Crochet from the White Sox or Lewis Robert from the White Sox. You had all these chances, and you chose Austin Hayes was your better bet.
See,
Um, Marsh was the better bet. Like you chose all these people, and
I do think we won on the Marsh deal. I'm not, and Cody. I know we lost on the Soto part of that, but the curious thing I have about these trade deadlines is they went after Crochet. They said, what were they asking for in advance? Because to me, yeah, I do see where like I would be very hesitant to give up pitching prospects, but we have a blockage when it comes to uh, infielders, like position players.
yeah,
So,
it's gonna be the same kind of shit that you're gonna bring up. Like Ryan Howard was like 28 when you brought him up because you had Tomey.
hmm,
Bohm was 25 when you brought him up. Now he's like 28 as well.
yeah,
Like all these people are mid 20s or late 20s when you bring up. Like That's what I'm like when I said earlier about the daycare. That's not true. Like you have Aiden Miller. That's I don't know if he's fully ready for a full season, but he's right on the verge. And you have Turner that's at his natural position, and he's
Mm-hmm.
there for at least 9 more years, 11 more years, whatever his contract was. I forget what it was.
Yeah, same with Harper. You moved him to first, so like like you screwed Derek Hall. I mean, he wasn't the answer, but you screwed him. Like there was no pathway for him to get to the team, especially with like Schwarber dominating the DH and
Yeah,
having alternatives to the DH. But it really makes you think at the trade deadline. I could see if like the White Sox were like, no, we basically want Painter and all your pitching prospects. Yeah, well, go fuck yourself. I'm not getting a loaner for those guys because clearly we're gonna need Painter in the hunt in 2025 to get on the team, and we'll get to that in a second because there's going to be some hot sauce on that bitch. Um, but like position player wise, I do think we have a blockage. I don't think we're going to see Aiden Miller for a while. I don't think we're going to see J.P. Crawford for a while. Who's that guy? Otto.
Justin Crawford.
Oh, Justin Crawford. I don't think we're going to see Otto, whatever his face is, that's making a break right now in the fall league.
Cabrera.
I think I forget what his name is, but
It is.
there's a couple prospects that are like lighting it up in these Triple A's. Scotty Jetpacks. We clamored for him all year. You screwed
Nothing.
him. Like you bounced him around because Kaplered him. It's just to me when it came to the trade deadline, if Dombrowski's hands were truly tied of like every team asking for every single pitching prospect we have, yeah, I get it. Because pitching prospect, if you got a good one, don't let him go. If you don't
Yeah.
believe me, ask the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's unbelievable that if they were asking for position prospects, why didn't we make the move? Because they're all like you. To your point, they're all blocked. Like they did this press conference and said our infield's locked. Our outfield, we're good with 2/3 of it. So unless we have an amazing left field prospect out there,
Like I think what you should have done, like Scott Kingery was the best hitter in AAA this year. Well, what you should have done is you should have brought him up, and if he sucks in the majors again, I know he didn't have any options, but what the fuck does it matter?
mm-hmm.
Like if he sucks, he's gone. Like why are you trying to make your AAA team win a championship? Your goal is to have your major league team win a championship.
Yeah.
So if he sucks at the majors, okay, see you later. Go join Kansas City or Arizona, whatever team he wanted to go to. You
What
know, like
what is his natural position? Is it second?
second.
Why not? Bryson was struggling.
Yeah, and that's what everyone was calling for because Bryson Stott was like 0 for 45 or some bullshit number. It was outrageous. It was games that he was nowhere close to getting a hit. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone was like, Topper, you got to take him out. You got to sit him for at least a game. And he finally did. And then it was like an off day the following day. And then he sat him again for the day coming back, but it was already too late because it was already like 7 days straight of playing,
Mm-hmm.
and he sucked in those 7 days straight. Like it just all of his managerial decisions were so bad, and I don't think Dombrowski helped him at all. I
And,
think honestly he probably forced his hand more.
and I get the argument of you don't want to crush a guy's morality because again you could harken back to Scott Kingery. You bounced this guy around. You gave him a multi-million-dollar extension, and then you went,
Immediately.
yeah, and then you went. I guess you're really not that great. So like you just crushed him morality wise, and then you
Yeah.
sent him back down to AAA. He did what he was supposed to do, and then you went, sorry, you're gonna sit down in the minor leagues, and then you can go test free agency on your own next year. It's crazy. But aside from the post mortem press conference of hey, we're gonna run it back, here's the fun, infuriating, fucking news that I am personally sick and tired of fucking hearing. Taiwan Walker is getting a 12th chance at this fucking point, as if the 9 games he started after the All-Star break and fucking blew wasn't sign enough that this guy ain't going to fix his shit. He now has the offseason to come back and compete in spring training for a job. No, you want to make an example that we're serious as an organization? You fucking fire him in that post conference. I don't care about, oh, you don't want to hurt his feelings. Fuck you. Fuck your money. Fuck this shit. That Walmart greeting motherfucker was still allowed in the goddamn dugout, even though he wasn't on the roster. And I get it, because you were technically part of the team for the season, even though you shouldn't have been. But you wasted 9 starts, and all 9 were losses. And now you have a 40-man roster spot eaten up by this turd.
And they were worse every single start.
Yeah, and every time you keep hearing, oh, he's going to find it, he's going to get better, I saw some better stuff at him, and then you come to have this, I'm running it back with the same position players, and then you go, oh, you know what? We're going to have him try to, we're going to give him another chance in spring training, but he's going to have to earn it. Really? Is he going to have to earn it? Because you let him start 9 fucking times without any consequences. I don't really believe you when you say he's going to have to earn it, because I feel like you're just going to hand it to him because he's got this stupid-ass contract you gave him in the first place. Because for some reason you like the Mets sloppy seconds when it comes to fucking pitching. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on Taijuan Walker?
Exactly what you're saying. Like, it's just, I understand that you're not going to come out there and you're going to say, yeah, he automatically has the spot, or we're going to let him go if it's this or that. But he should have been let go before the season even ended. Like, it should have been done and over with, because you saw what he was capable of. You sent him to the bullpen, which was too late again. You sent him to the bullpen, and when he came in from the bullpen, he sucked. He had a really good game, that one game, for when he was in the bullpen. I think he went like 2 or 3 innings of shutdown baseball.
I guess what, the Nationals? I don't want to hear shit. He doesn't get any fucking credit. I don't forget who he played, but fuck him.
Well, I'm saying, then he came back out because you were like, oh, I think he's good enough to be back in the starting role. And he got shelled. Like, beyond shelled for his next game. Like, it's just, there's no reason for him to be on this team. I know you don't really have much else in your minors right now, like your AAA at least. You have, I think, really good starters in AA and single A that aren't ready, but
they'll be dead by the time they get here anyway.
Yeah, I think the one that you were ready for was Andrew Painter. Obviously, he got hurt. You were ready for Griff McGeary. All of a sudden, he started sucking. So I assume his role went out the window too, and that's why he's in the freaking Arizona League trying to figure it out too. So, like, all your pitching prospects that you were depending on fell apart. So I get it. Like, you had nothing, but
pitching's like, a tricky bitch, because I wouldn't have put Sanchez on the radar, and he was probably hands down our best pitcher of the year.
Yeah, without a doubt. He was, like, in my conversation as one of the Cy Young leaders. Him and Suarez before the All-Star break.
Or to your point, till his family came to America.
All went downhill after that, man.
Had to start raising kids and then realized he couldn't do both. It's hard, Suarez. Try working a full-time job and raising kids. You only have to play 180 games. Not you play every 5th game in the 180 strategy. Come on, man. I work 300 days a year.
But you just, everything that could go wrong for Taijuan did.
I think here's my frustration, and I'm directing a lot of the anger at Taijuan because he is the guy that sucked. Don't mention him in the press conference. If somebody asks you, we're going to have to talk in the offseason about that. Do not sit there and say, I'm going to give him another fucking chance, because nobody wants to hear. Taijuan doesn't want to hear that.
No.
To sit there and it was after you said you were running it back with the same, like, we're not going to bring in stars. Sorry.
Like, he should have, Dombrowski should have came out there and said, we're going to do everything in our power to get to the World Series next year. That's what he should have did. If you don't want to elaborate that, or you don't want to go less than that, that's all you have to say. Yep. You don't have to say, we have enough stars, Taijuan's coming back, this and that. Like, you don't have to say any of that. You just have to say, we're going to go out and do everything in our power to make the Phillies a World Series champion again. That's all you had to say. And just the
Instead,
rest
you
of the
came out.
comments.
I was gonna say, instead you came out. You said your infield's locked. We're not going after star players. We don't need any more. We have enough stars as it is. We had 9 all
Yeah,
stars. And then you know what, Taiwan, we're gonna give him the offseason, get his shit together, and give him a chance to own his job. Okay?
everything that you didn't want to hear him say, he said, including Topper get an extension.
Yeah. Just do that
Like,
shit quietly, because nobody would have like, hey, did anyone know when Topper's not gonna be here anymore? That would have, you could have just flown that under the radar, and that man could have stayed here for another 10 years. You
yeah,
announced it.
yeah, especially like if he came out next year and he was lights out with every
Yeah.
decision and they ended up winning the World Series, like, oh yeah, by the way, we gave him a 3-year extension. Oh, genius.
You
Best thing
announced
you
it
ever did.
after the most disappointing postseason fucking appearance in the last
Yeah.
2 decades. You fucking announced it 3 days later that we're extending the guy that did well, and we're not. We're gonna run it back. We
Yeah.
have 3 bad games.
Yeah. You got our first base coach coming back. You have our third base coach coming back. You have the bench coach. You have the bullpen coach. You have the
How do you
bullpen
not
catcher. Everyone.
just cut someone's head off? Like Kalen Cotham. Your bullpen fell apart. Look, our pitching didn't have good longevity. We're gonna move on from Caleb. No, you didn't move on from everyone. You're saying no one's at fault. Shit happens. The Mets were really good. No, the Mets are not really good. You should have watched the NLCS.
Yeah.
We beat ourselves in that series.
Oh, 100%.
And I again, I don't want to take things because the Mets did get hot, but you've proven that you can beat hot teams. You took 5 out of 6 from LA during the regular season. You won the season series against the Mets. Come on, like, you didn't put up a fight. I think that's the more frustrating thing. When you sit there and say that the Phillies lost it themselves, it's because they didn't put up the fight. It's not to take things away from the Mets. It's the fact that the Phillies didn't show up.
And it's just what happened the whole entire year, which was we beat the Dodgers, we beat the Brewers in the series, we beat the Braves in the season series. We beat all these best teams in the season series, but we couldn't. We didn't show up in the playoffs.
And I think the frustrating thing too is we got piled on. Oh, you only had the best record because you had the easiest schedule at the beginning of the year. Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it? Because, we had, 64 and whatever in the first half, and then we went 500 in the second half. It does seem that, we couldn't hang with playoff teams. And I hate that people have something to hang their hat on, because they shouldn't. Because the team, and we've said this multiple times on this podcast, on paper, this team is a World Series team.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You
That
have
team
the talent.
That was on the paper did not show up at the NLDS. And then you pretty much said, hey, we're going to run it back.
We're bringing it back again.
Like the paper, guys. Believe in the paper. The paper goes out there 180 games and puts up the fight. Not the players, the paper.
Yeah, the same paper for 2022 that got no hit in the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same team that we're just going to keep coming back. Like, we're not going to change it at all. We're just going to see if they can finally figure out how to not swing at a ball that bounces 5 feet before the plate.
And even if you don't want to blame the position players, we're not even going to bring in a second set of eyes to say, hey, maybe you should try this. No, we're going to bring back the same set of eyes. It goes, nothing's wrong. I don't know. That's what I would have done. We know. We saw you do it 3 years in a row. And now we have to see it for a 4th year.
But I think the biggest, not mistake, but the biggest thing that happened was, I think, majority of the Philly fan base sold their soul to see the Eagles win a Super Bowl, and it's been downhill. It's been downhill since then.
Now, so I'm going to blame. So if the people get the blame shit on the internet, like Caleb Scott and Garrett Stubbs for talking about pools, I'm going to blame the people that spell the goddamn football name at the goddamn baseball park. Spell your own dumbass shit in your own stadium. You're the reason we're not winning World Series championships. You're not taking baseball serious enough because you want to talk about football. And I hope Nick Sirianni and his bald fucking head disappoints you just like the Phillies did to me in the NLDS. And you know what? The day he disappoints you, I will buy a fucking 50-yard ticket, sit on the field with a megaphone, and spell the Philadelphia Phillies name for you with the word Philadelphia in front of it, and you will listen to every goddamn letter I have to speak out.
Listen, to be fair, majority of people were calling for Sirianni to be fired before this season started.
That's because Philadelphia fans can't ever be happy about anything.
No, we can't.
But don't ruin it for me. I try to be optimistic, and then your dumbasses come and stand behind home plate because you're too fucking cheap to buy a real seat. You're going to stand behind the standing room only and fucking spell the Eagles. Go yell it at your empty-ass stadium the other 6 months they're not playing. I hate the Eagles. I hate football.
That's why I brought it up.
That's fair. Well, I hate hockey, too. I went to the home opener there. That was a disappointment.
Yeah. So disappointed for me to put all my eggs in that basket.
Okay, I don't hate hockey. I hate hockey fans, you entitled, privileged little bitches.
And then I put all my eggs in the freaking Sixers basket that start tomorrow, and then their two best players aren't going to play this whole entire week. Dude, I'm done. I'm done with Philly, man.
It was simpler times when you just watched WWE and you thought The Undertaker was a real person and didn't know he was a Republican that would do a promo ad with Donald Trump. My world has been shattered.
I blame you for getting rid of wrestling nights at your house.
Don't blame me.
Yeah, blame you. You started the Philly curse. It's your fault.
No Philly curse. I'm the one who respects the lanes, people. Baseball stays in baseball. Eagles stay in Eagles. Undertaker's a dead man that can't legally vote. That's voter fraud. You can't support a candidate if you're the dead man. That's voter fraud.
Oh,
that's been the entire argument since 2020 is that illegal people have been voting, and you're sitting next to the Undertaker. He's a dead man. I'm keeping kayfabe, Taker. Are you? You little bitch. You're not keeping kayfabe, Taker. You're not. You can't pick a political candidate. You're the dead man. Dead men can't vote.
You gotta clip that.
You're welcome. I will. I will clip that at the holy shit. I will clip that. I will post that, and that'll be the preview because dead man can't fucking vote. At least an animal's voting for Kamala or whatever the hell. Fucking wrestlers shouldn't have opinions. Your fucking meatheads just pick things up and put things down.
Oh,
and I used to do it. I'm wearing a CM Punk shirt, for Christ's sakes.
Anywho.
Yeah, fuck the Eagles. Last bit of we're going to talk here because we are running along because this is a supersized post-mortem. 2025. I'm a sucker. Bought my season tickets. So how are we feeling for 2025? I'm optimistic. I do think they'll find their way. If you thought like last year, the way 2023 ended was enough of a fire, if they're not fired up in April over this bullshit, I don't know what else would do it to you. To get eliminated by your rival for the first time ever facing them in a thing where everybody, including Dave Portnoy, who lost $200,000, picked you to win the fucking shebang. How do you feel about 2025, Eric?
I don't feel great.
Well, you didn't buy season tickets, so at least you're not a fucking moron like I am.
So the best part about it was that you texted the group before you abandoned the group saying that I'm done. I'm not buying season tickets. I'm out. And then you texted me separately saying I bought my season ticket.
So here, okay. I wasn't mad at the team. I was, again, mad at the ticketing system. I didn't like the lottery. I thought the lottery was bullshit. You stick with a team for an entire year. You go to 20 to 30 games a year, and you don't even get into the NLCS or the World Series in 2022 or 2023. So I go, okay, guys, I'll buy into the process. I'll buy my season ticket plan so I can go to the postseason because it's guaranteed access. You give me Game 5 and your team shits the bed. Okay, so I don't even get a chance to see it. Why didn't a season ticket holder at least get options to Game 1 and 2 before the fucking general public?
Tyler did. He's on assignment, though.
Tyler got Game 2. Why didn't he get Game 1? I get him getting it because this was his second year as a season ticket holder. But Jared and I got Game 5? You're going to tell me you didn't have enough tickets between Game 1 and Game 2 to invite all your season ticket holders? Fuck you. There's no way you had 80,000 season ticket members.
I guarantee you're going to get Game 1 next year.
After I talked to the lady, who was very sweet. hooked me up. I have better seats somehow for 2025. I guess a lot of people actually canceled their plan.
Yeah.
Um, and she's like, okay, well, next time that happens, maybe email someone. Don't sit there and hope for the best. It's like, I didn't care because I didn't think they were going to get eliminated by the goddamn Mets. But
But
that's
no,
why
like,
I left the chat. I left the team. And then the reason I have to go to therapy, I immediately reversed decision within 12 hours and bought season tickets. So I have a problem mentally. It's way more than just sports. But go ahead.
the 2025 season, I don't want to say I have high hopes.
Good. That's Harry Callis's thing.
Yeah, I don't. I see.
Oh, please quote it. Please quote it. Quote it.
What?
Quote it. It's the GIF I've sent you since March 30th of this year.
I just see pure disappointment.
Expect disappointment, never get expect disappointment, never get disappointed.
Yeah. I feel like that's coming. Um, they're obviously going to make the playoffs because there's so many fucking teams that make the playoffs. So even if you don't win the division next year, which I don't think you're going to do it,
I think they do.
and I couldn't care less if they win the division or not. Like that's clearly, it seems like the wrong thing to do is to win the division.
It hurts more because you
Yeah,
win the division and then you get bounced.
like I'm not saying that that's the reason why the Phillies lost. They lost because they just sucked, but um, it's obviously better if you're a wild card team because you just keep playing and you don't stop. So that's a better way to do it. But your whole season is going to depend on what Juan Soto does your whole offseason. And it's going to be that goddamn bullshit that Scott Boras does, which is going to hold it until February. So you're going to be up there bidding against Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Nationals, the Astros, all these teams that are going to have this good amount of money that are ready to throw it around, and it's going to go long. So you may lose out on Teoscar Hernandez and Garrett Crochet. I think he's a free agent as a pitcher. So you're going to lose out on these significant pieces potentially, unless Middleton just says, "Fuck it, here's the whole entire Brinks truck, have it, give Arias a blank check, give Teoscar a blank check, give Soto a blank check, give Crochet, like just keep going, and whatever these people want, just give it, and just say, I'm giving you 48 hours to make the decision. If you're coming with us, you're coming with us. If you're not, we're moving on. There's apparently a bunch of really good players that are coming out of Japan again. They're about to be posted.
They ain't coming here.
Yeah, I'm gonna hitch my wagon on one of them and be pure disappointed again.
They're going to San Francisco, San Diego, or LA. They hate traveling more than I hate traveling.
Well, it seems like Dombrowski doesn't really go that route either. So
racist. You heard it here first.
I'm not saying he's racist, but he did trade majority of the non-white players. So
hey, he sent Matt Vierling to Detroit. That's really mean to send a couple white guys to Detroit.
But so it's going to be really difficult. But you have to hit the ground running. Those winter meetings that are coming in December have to be huge. Like normally it takes a little bit in order to get some good players, but you got to start putting the bait out there now and figure out where everyone is at. And you better have at least one major of those four. If it's Arias, Teoscar, Soto, or Crochet, one of those four, they have to be signed during those winter meetings before Christmas. I want to have a happy Christmas.
You're going to be disappointed. I think 100%. It's going to be a slow off season. I don't think Dodgers are going to be buyers. And the only reason is I think they're cool with Teoscar, honestly. Or they're cool with the second tier outfield. When you look at if Juan Soto's top tier, they're cool with like a Bellinger, Teoscar, or
Yeah,
someone. I don't think they're going to go. They got their Otani and their Yamamoto. They're cool with what they've got and the contracts they gave out to them. Plus, you got Mookie, Freddie, uh, Will Smith's their catcher.
yeah.
They may go after. Honestly, I think that who's their third baseman?
Muncie, is it Muncie?
I have a feeling that they probably have better chances going after Bregman than going after an outfielder. Just to be honest, because also they're going to technically get Otani back as a starting pitcher.
Yeah,
So to me, the Dodgers really shouldn't be a threat in the offseason. They probably will, because especially if they lose, because fuck, LA hates everybody. I think the Yankees are going to throw stupid money at Soto, and if Soto's cool with stupid money, he ain't going anywhere.
yeah.
If Soto actually just wants to play to have fun, I think he leaves the Yankees. Um,
But it's gonna be like Otani's contract is a complete joke to baseball.
I think it's bullshit. Well, there's a lot of reasons Otani's a joke to baseball, but go on.
Yeah, it's just for him to make basically $1 million, and the majority of his like 500 million plus contract is deferred until like 12 years later.
When they know the team isn't going to be good because all their star players will be gone by then.
Yeah, it's a complete and utter joke to the whole entire league and to America itself. Like he's gonna go to goddamn like Montana or some bullshit state and collect all that money and be tax free. Like fuck
Oh,
him and fuck the Dodgers. I'm
he's
so
gonna
pissed
go
off.
back to Japan and probably not pay any fucking taxes.
Either way, whatever. I still hate the whole entire state of California.
I could do a whole episode of why I hate Otani and why I'll never buy New Balance shoes again.
Yeah, fuck them all. But
But
it's
let's talk conspiracies for a second. So conspiracy: Pete Rose sizes the same year that Otani has a betting scandal and possibly wins the World Series, and that the Judge and Otani showdown the first time Otani leaves the fucking market and comes to a market that's actually good.
yeah, it's
And the
all
same time that you have a Padres Dodgers series and a Mets Phillies series instead of vice versa, there's some collusion going on there, folks. You better
yep.
believe it.
It's all bullshit. It's very frustrating
The
just
Tigers
to
were the red
know,
herring.
yeah, just to know that you have the opportunity of a team out there that is going to do that kind of contract. Like you don't know if Kansas City is going to say, you know what, Soto, come over here. We'll give you 800 million, but we'll give you $1 million every year until 6 years from now, and you can go back to whatever country you're from too, and collect everything safe. Like it fucks up everything.
I don't get
So
why every team just wouldn't do that. It's going to make awful years for when those what's the Bobby Bonilla Day in
oh yeah,
Mets.
yeah. But there's already so many people like that. Like Nationals owe Scherzer,
Mm-hmm.
and
They also owe
The Mets owe Scherzer.
Strasburg.
Yeah, and now the Astros are gonna owe Scherzer because the Rangers are gonna owe him. Like he's gonna leave there too. So he's getting paid by three teams, but the whole entire thing is a complete joke. But anyway, to bring it back, um, I expect I don't expect. I'm hoping for a massive off season for there not to be, signing Juan Soto and signing Arias and signing Hernandez, like all of them. But I want two of the four. I want some better bullpen pieces, and I want honestly, I would probably get rid of Bohm. I would trade him, and I would find somebody else that can be your third baseman, be it Bregman or whoever else is a free agent. But you need somebody that's going to come in here and who's going to actually stay consistent with hitting the ball. And you can't have six players that are going to be swinging at shit that's 6 feet outside or 10 feet in front of the plate. Like you need to find somebody, and that's Hernandez. Bregman has a pretty high chase rate too, but not as high as Bohm. But Arias, like I keep going back to, which I don't think we have any interest in. There's
Mhm.
never been mention of him at all. But he's been on 3 different teams in the last 3 years, and he's won the batting title every single year. Like, dude hits, and you need a player that is going to hit, and that's going to break that freaking Philly curse of when they come here and they suck the first year.
So I'm going to break your heart. I don't think they do any of that this year. And here's why. I think they can fix it. The owner and operators of this team are in an abusive relationship with their stars. They're going to sit there and try to fix it. I think, to your point, and I don't know who the fuck's a free agent in 2026. I think that's the year they'll fix it. Like if they don't do it next year, blow it apart. Um,
Well, Schwarber and Casty are gone after this year, right?
just
2025.
Schwarber and JT. You have one more year on Casty.
Okay.
So just my predictions. JT gets an extension, lower rate. I don't think he's going to get what he makes now. I don't, and the only reason I say he gets an extension, who are you going to get better?
Yeah, there's nobody else out there. I unfortunately I agree. I had this conversation with my brother as well, and
The only
it's
other option out there
awful.
is going when he goes on the market. The only other option is you work on a prospect, which I don't have much faith in Marchand because he hasn't stayed healthy a single year, and he's in
Nope.
AAA. Um, and then Perez from Kansas City is the other free agent that year. So JT's going to rake it. If you can't get an extension done, JT's not going to be here. So I
And
think he gets an extension done.
I have no idea how old Perez is. Dude looks like he's 50, but also 20 at the same time. Like
As I say, old, he's our age, but he's old.
yeah,
We bitch about our knees and we don't catch. So
yeah, it's going to be hard for me to walk out of the basement after this podcast.
but my only hope for this offseason, and I think I've said this every year we've done our like post mortem or at least our free agency episodes, pitching. Um, please, for the love of God, do not hang your hat on. I have six or seven starters fighting for that fifth starter spot. You don't. You
Yeah,
have three. I don't like one of the three. I wasn't happy with his extension, but I guess at a discounted rate, Aaron Nola makes sense. Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez are your starters. Suarez can be your fourth, but you better figure out how to make him last because he can't last.
and keep his family out of this country.
You could hold that above him in 2026 if he does it again. Um, Taiwan's not the guy. I don't
No.
care if you don't want to hurt his feelings. He is. You might as well just consider him Jamie Moyer in his final year of going. Look, old man, we'll have you in the booth. You had a great taco truck the year you came here. Uh, don't put all your eggs in the basket for Andrew Painter. I know he's doing well in the fall league right now. He may make a quality fifth starter. You need to sign someone as a starter. Do not hope and wait and see, because then you're going to have the same fourth and fifth starter problems next year we had this year. And I'm saying the fourth starter position's a problem because Ranger Suarez was not good in
Yeah,
September or end of August, and I don't want that. If you don't figure out a way to make Ranger go the distance, put him in the bullpen, get rid of him.
and
It's
you good.
it's either put him in the bullpen, don't let him go more than 5 each game, or get rid of him. Taiwan's not your guy. I want the mentality of Dombrowski is I don't have a fifth starter. Go get one.
You went what you're to go back to what you're alluding to. You completely put all your faith in Andrew Painter, and then he got hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put all your eggs in the next basket, which was Griff McGarry, and you wanted him to come up, and he freaking sucked, and then he went down from AAA to AA to get right from that. So like you started putting all your eggs in the basket of the kids that were coming up, and those eggs completely shattered.
Yeah.
Like they broke everywhere. So you can't do that. And the thing that I'm getting worried about is a lot of people are saying how Severino is a free agent after this year.
my God.
So you're going to go after another Mets pitcher, and it's going to be the death of us again.
No. Okay. When I say you need a fifth starter, I'm not talking about the Mets sloppy seconds. You do this to me again. We got lucky once. And the only
Yeah,
reason we got lucky is because he really fucking hated the Mets. That's why he
yeah,
left the Mets. You got
yep,
lucky as the other one snowballed you. And to your point, I think I do have faith in Painter. I do think we have some decent pitching prospects out there, but treat them like Sanchez. Treat them as a pleasant surprise rather than this is the future. Because you got into that future conversation about other people. He's now Bally falters in Pittsburgh. Like you don't have it. You don't have a fifth starter. There's no prospect that's going to fill that spot right now because there's not enough games between now and spring training for Painter to get to what you need for the full year. And at that point, are you running him ragged trying to get him to spring training because you have him in the fall league?
yeah, and
It's just you don't have a fifth starter. You don't have any prospects for that fifth starter. Go get a fifth starter that's not a Met.
it's gonna the Painter thing is gonna be an innings limit too.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna be pitch what 2 or 3 innings every single fifth day, whatever he is.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, your bullpen is going to be completely taxed by the time the playoffs are too. So like,
That's another thing. No bullpen games. That fifth and fourth starter position hurt us, and our bullpen was tired out. I'm not making excuses for Strom, Hoffman, or Estevez, but would they have been in better position if they didn't have to bail out that fourth and fifth starter so many times?
like yeah, and I'm not saying that you have to go out and get Michael Lorenzen, obviously, but I'm
The
saying you have
man.
to get another pitcher that is okay with going from starter to relief.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe Spencer Turnbull comes back and he's able to do it again. Like who knows?
I wouldn't
But
even. It sucks with Turnbull because I do think he was doing very well. But will he have that back issue again?
yeah,
I mean, I don't do shit and I have back issues. That's something
yeah,
that just doesn't go away. Um,
but
and I feel like that's like
you
the kiss of death for a pitcher. Oh, I got back issues. Okay, you're gonna miss like most of your starts.
yeah, and you have to be able to find that pitcher that is going to be okay with going from starter to relief to starter, like whatever it is, like how we did with Turnbull, Strom,
Mm-hmm.
all of them, Lorenzen, Ranger the first year, Sanchez for a little, like everyone that we've done so far has gone that way, but we need to find one that is pure starter, another one that is able to go from starter to relief if Painter is that ace, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week with the supersized post mortem. We'll be back next week. We'll probably do some more in depth of the 2024 season. If not, we'll do some player profiles and just we'll probably be talking World Series, which would be probably game 3 or 4 at that point. Um, we're only going to talk about it because then we'll know where we think Soto's going. We're not talking about it for the actual game. We're talking about it because we want to see what those free agents that are currently playing in the World Series are going to be doing next year.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on. So you want to plug anything, Mr. Barezzo?
No.
Okay, I'll plug it. The weekly protocol drops tomorrow. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, October 23rd, Thursday, October 24th will be the first episode of the weekly protocol with yours truly and special guests Gibby and Frank Ward as we talk airports. It'll be a new weekly series where we break down the protocols on youtube.com/thebppofficial. The Jersey Fanatics will keep dropping every Wednesday going forward. They may be more sporadic because in the off season, we'll try to do some like player profiles or highlights to get us through. And maybe Tyler will come back from assignment. If not, we'll see what happens. He's a new dad. Like it's very hard at that
Mm-hmm.
age. And also he's got the Philly issue to deal with too, considering you guys like all 4 teams, which that's gotta suck.
It's awful.
We've got new episodes of A Dace-tacular Mind that'll start dropping again with a new sub-series called The Dace-tacular People, where I sit down and talk to other people and see why they deal with me. So instead of looking into my mind, I'm looking into their mind of like why they deal with my mind. Boom! Gonna
All right.
blow your mind out. First episode's been recorded. It'll be Cheever. Just
Oh,
because
Jesus Christ.
he was very anxious to get behind the microphone. And then I have a couple surprises of people who aren't in BPP and then people who are in BPP. But I only have one recorded so far, so we'll see what happens. I want to get excited for it. I got to post the Cheever episode because he plugged things that are going to happen very soon, and it's unfair to have his plugs just kind of be thrown to the whim. So I'll plug it here, too. He's performing for the Whim projects. They're doing The Tempest by William Shakespeare. Him and Ashley Cotter are in it. And you can check him out at FTW for the Whim Productions in Bridgeton, New Jersey. It runs from November 8th to the 16th.
Lock your cars.
Lock your car. Go with a friend. Go with a friend. Not just to support them, but go with a friend for other reasons. I don't know what I'm going to do because my friend last time was Cheever and now he's in the play. So we got a lot of things going on at BPP. The Dayspectacular Gaming for a Cause 11 will be April 25th to the 27th. You can donate today at basementprotocolproductions.com and find all the information about our schedule for the main stage. And then in coming days, we'll be announcing the prizes as well as the second stage. So we are.
And we're going to do a nice little test stream of AOE, Age of Empires. So and this guy is going to die by boards.
So we're getting back into the streaming game, and the big event being the Dayspectacular Gaming for a Cause 11. Again, we're going to go through GoFundMe this time because PayPal wanted to be a dick and skim some off the top. GoFundMe might do it in the background, but they're not telling me they're doing it, so that's why they're getting an option to do it right now. BasementProtocolProductions.com for all information about the DGC 11. That's going to do it for us. That's a lot of plugs.
Wow.
Yeah, we went, 10 episodes of see us next week. To holy shit, we're going to be all over your YouTube and all over your podcasts.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yes. I think we have a post every day this week on Facebook. That's nuts. That's not. We haven't done that since we tried to start this.
Time to get rich.
So that's going to do it for us here on the Jersey Fanatics. I hope we weren't too negative. It's very hard not to be given the 2024 season ending. But
fuck you, Topper.
Yeah, fuck you, Phillies organization, for giving me NLDS Game 5 tickets. That's the only beef I got with you. That's a real dick move. Come on. First of all, you didn't... Okay, we're a quick rant before I end the show. First of all, you gave me NLDS Game 5 tickets. You were cocky enough to think there wasn't going to be a Game 5. And then it was an oh shit moment of we ain't going to make it to a Game 5. So you never really thought there was going to be a Game 5 to begin with. And you gave me that a ticket. And I'm your season ticket holder. That's how you fucking treat me? Go fuck yourself. I'll be back next year, though. So, that's going to do it for us this week on the Philly Jersey Fanatics. I've been Chris the Dace Man Dace. He's been Eric Berezzo.
Bye. Fuck you, Topper.
Ring the bell. We out.
Ding, ding, ding.